Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Ladies in red. Discuss the latest news, just fans giving their views. This channel is red. They see the bar and raise it, plus they rep for the ladies. Trust it's red. Female voices in football. Red. If you want to talk up, it's a red channel for me and you. Subscribe and tune in to the ladies in red.
I am here. We're here. Not a clue what happened then. I apologise if it messed up Zio for your intro. I have no clue what happened then. Bit of a weird situation, but I hope you guys are doing well. Hello to everyone in the chat. Sorry, I'm slightly late. I know I do apologise for that, but my sound went weirdly, which is why I was panicking there. But I'm with you now. This video, obviously, Zio, big up to you. Obviously, we will do a show soon. It's a bit of a manic one. I've had interviews and all sorts regarding work, so it's been a mad one. But I promise you, we will get back and do a link up. And I hope you're feeling better. Honestly, we've got so much to talk about. Obviously, the City game happened, and we're going to talk about that. All the Ole talks that's going on at the moment as well. Of course, we have to talk about that. Pogba's got injured, so we'll discuss that as well. Like I say, a lot to talk about. So firstly, we'll discuss, obviously, the game against City. Where do we even go with that? I feel numb at the moment watching United. Like, I'm not even surprised anymore. That's how I feel. It's frustrating, to say the least. And I don't know about you lot, but watching that, Look, I know a lot of us expected us not to win. And of course, City are a quality team. We aren't exactly playing well. But it's the manner at which we lost in that game. That's what infuriated me, and that's what disappointed me. No fight, no spirit. And I'm just sick of seeing that. I'm sick of seeing no fight and no spirit. And of course, tactically as well, we can talk about that. Simply not good enough. But for me, I mean, seeing players not going in for a 50-50, I tweeted this. There's no excuse for that, in my opinion. You just don't. It's a derby game at the end of the day, and you have to be putting yourself in for those challenges. But like I say, tactically as well, far too defensive. Ole deserves criticism as well. I'm not denying that, and you know me, I'm very fair. And obviously, I know he takes some blame as well. But just frustrating. And I think all of us United fans at the minute are scratching our head, thinking, "What on earth?" I know a lot of people are saying manager rate and whatnot. A lot of people against the board and whatnot as well. Potential protests, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But there's just so much at the minute. We're scratching my head and I'm thinking, if you look at the squad that we've got and look at the way that we're playing, that should just not be the case, should it? And for whatever reason it is, and it's just so frustrating. I'm going to listen to what you guys are saying in the chat as well. James says it was more than a training session on Saturday. It was more of a training session on Saturday. Where was the leadership from your team apart from Ronaldo? Spot on. I'm referring to leadership. Obviously, Maguire had an interview. The clip has come out of him saying the lack belief as well. You don't want to hear that from your captain. Quite often I'll defend players and whatnot and don't read into comments too much, but from your captain, you don't want to hear there's a lack of belief in that dressing room. That was a really worrying comment for me. And the fact that Ole wasn't aware of that comment as well, and he was a bit baffled when he heard that Maguire had said that. Yeah, worrying times, like I say, worrying. Big up to Mean. I hope I pronounced that right. I hope you're doing well. Obviously, big up to James as well. Shivan says, can't believe that Ole is still backed at this point. I didn't see it, but at the same time, it's United, so I'm not surprised. Decimus says, I think emotions need to be left out of the door now and let's look at the situation objectively. I agree, but it's hard, isn't it? When you love Manchester United, you love the football club. Ole is a legend. It's hard. But for me, like, if you don't like Ole, fair enough. But I'm a Manchester United fan, so regardless who the manager is, I want Manchester United to do well. I want my club to do well, no matter what. So all this talk about people going to a protest to get the manager out, I just don't agree with that. Against the board, totally agree. But against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, against a club legend, like I say, and no doubt somebody who wants the best for the club, just a lot of people saying he's not good enough. It's being left hung out to dry by the board for me. Obviously, we all know that tactically we're not good enough. Yeah, I don't get it. Andrew said it was a weird atmosphere sitting inside Old Trafford for the Sunday City game. We were more hoping than expecting to win. Yeah, but like I say, I at least expected a bit of a performance, a bit of a fight back, and we were literally chasing shadows. We could not get near Man City. It was embarrassing. And Decimus says there, I disagree with the protest against Ole. It should be against the Glazers. Spot on. I totally agree. If there's a protest against the Glazers, I fully support it. But against the manager, against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I just can't condone that. I just can't agree with that. What are your thoughts on Ole's comments regarding us reaching a way of playing at the end of last season and start of this season? You know what? I couldn't really care less what Ole says, because I think and all the managers as well. All the players say the tweet after games. For me, it's what we see on the pitch, and we've seen the same old mistakes that we saw last season, and that's simply not good enough. And Ole obviously has to take the blame for that, and his coaching staff as well. but I'm not seeing any changes on the pitch at all. No signs of change. Yes, he switched the formation up a little bit, but again, we don't look like we have a clear style of playing, a clear way of playing. It's like we're panicking ultimately when we change that formation because, yeah, it's frustrating to say the least. I hate the Glazers as much as the next fan, but you can't accuse them of not backing the manager this year. Of course, they have backed the manager, but then it's regarding like the managerial situation. Ollie was the easy option. We're now questioning, was he good enough? We now obviously seeing other teams sacking managers as well. With the international break, this seems like a good time to do it if they're going to do it. It just seems like they're delaying the inevitable for me, and I don't really get why we're doing that. But like dragging it out, I think it looks pretty obvious that Ollie probably will get sacked, which will hurt. Of course, it'll hurt, but like I say, I'm a Manchester United fan above anything else, and I want the best for the club. And whether that's Ollie in charge or whether that's someone else in charge, I will back the manager. I never sit here and say I want Ollie out, but I will sit here and say it's not good enough. And if Ollie does go, then for me, I think he's done a good job. He's set, obviously, the stall out in terms of the dressing room seems a better place, more positive. He has got us back on the straight and narrow in that sense, but obviously now we want to go to that next level. And of course, we're saying, can he do that? So I'll back Ollie until he's obviously no longer in charge, and then I'll back whoever comes in. That's the way that my mind works. Whoever is in charge of Manchester United, I'll back them because I want my club to do well. So when I see fans saying they want to protest against this our club legend, this manager, I can't agree with that. And when I see people saying they want United to lose just so the manager gets sacked again, I just cannot agree with that because ultimately we should all be Manchester United fans and want the best for the club, regardless. Do you know what I mean? I just can't get my head around that. Josh said, who would I replace him with? Ten Hag would be my ideal. That's who I would like to replace him with. But obviously, mid-season in particular, that's unlikely to happen. So we missed out on Conte. I would have been for that. It wouldn't have been my ideal choice, like I say, Ten Hag would be. But mid-season, Conte was available. I hope we haven't missed the trick with not getting Conte, to be honest with you. So yeah, let me know in the chat who, if Ollie was sacked, who would you guys be interested in? Because obviously Villa have sacked their manager, haven't they? Norwich have sacked theirs, and obviously Nuno got sacked as well. Clubs around us are doing it. But yet again, United just not budging at all. He has done some good things, but he was never the man to win major trophies. He was a good interim manager. That's how he's looking, isn't it? I agree. And like I sit here and I always say, I hope Ollie turns it around. And of course, I'm not blind and it looks very, very unlikely. Of course it is, but I hope he does. I hope he proves a lot of people wrong. But like I say, it just doesn't look like it's happening. And if it doesn't, then we need to change him. And like I say, for me, it just feels like the club are just delaying the inevitable, especially after the recent interviews and obviously comments that have come out. I mean, Paul Pogba's tweet the other day saying he wants to focus on France, and it just rolled. I don't know. This feels like a lot of subliminal messages coming out to United that he will be sacked eventually. It's just a matter of when and not if. But for me, it's an international break. Why are we delaying it then? If it's going to happen, just do it. And of course, like I say, I'll be sad, but I want what's best for the club and then move on. But yeah, Ten Hag would be that's the same as me. Simeone for me, but the board don't want a manager who wins titles. They also want a manager who's a yes man, it strikes me, and somebody who's going to fit into their profile. Stephen Kenny in. Gerrard to Villa, just about done. So that's an interesting appointment. Obviously done a really good job at Rangers. Coming into Villa, who have obviously spent a bit of money. They've lost their biggest player in Jack Grealish, haven't really hit the ground running since Grealish has gone. That's an interesting one because they've got a very strong squad, obviously a good stadium, a good fan base. Villa. That's a pretty big job that. And Dean Smith, I felt sorry for him. I thought he did a really good job. But again, he's obviously a legend at Villa, and he's gone. So why are United dragging it out? That's when the issue is, how bad does it have to get? Exactly. I agree with you, Curtis. And that's what I mean. Why are we delaying the inevitable? That it just feels frustrating to me. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, what's Ollie got 4 points from his last 18 or something like that? That's just not good enough, isn't it? Regardless of whether you like Ollie or you don't, you look at how the team are playing, the results that we've been picking up, simply not good enough. Regardless, it's just shocking form. They might want a yes man, but which top manager is a yes man? True. Spot on. And again, that's where we're looking at above. We all know there's a lot of problems from above, but the manager takes the brunt of it. That's just how it is. And when you're manager in Manchester United, you've got to know that you're going to be dealing with that pressure. It's just the way that it is, isn't it? I'll be happy with Brendan Rodgers on an 18-month contract, anything to get some style of play. What's your thoughts on Rodgers? Obviously, very good manager, very decent job at Leicester, very decent job at Liverpool. Obviously went to Scotland as well, Celtic. For me, he's, like I said, very good manager, but he's obviously his loyalties to Liverpool and his history with Liverpool, should I say, rather than his loyalties. Do you guys have a problem with that? And I'm just throwing that question out there because I know a lot of United fans probably would. But would you guys hold it against him that he's been linked to Liverpool, obviously, in his past? I'd be interested to see what you lot say about that one, actually. Thank you for that, Shane. Please make sure you do like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that. I'm getting back into the swing of it of regular content, obviously. If you were waiting for my ECL, I apologise. I had issues with technology. I will be doing that stream at the weekend. Obviously, my little FIFA stream that I do weekly. So don't worry, I will be doing it on Saturday, and I'll put a tweet out for that one as well. Good manager, but not good enough to win majors, in my opinion. So Decimus. Yeah, to be fair, interesting. Obviously, Leicester seem to bottle it, don't they? Especially towards the end of the season, in terms of top four and whatnot as well. In the Champions League as well, didn't do very well. Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. And obviously, Liverpool didn't win as well. But he's got a style of play, like people are saying. And I think people want to see that, want to see a plan. Tactically, he's very good. James is there, no ex-Liverpool. Shane says, I wouldn't take Rodgers. Sir Matt played for Liverpool, did he not? True. That's why I'm just throwing it out there, because some fans are more against it than others, I think, and I just wanted to see what the consensus was. Realistic options from Acid. Hello to you, Acid, as well. Ten Hag, Ragnick, Gallardo, Nagelsmann, Zidane, nobody else except for Brendan Rodgers. So out of all them choices there, easily for me, I would go Ten Hag. That would be my idea. That would be my ideal one, but yeah. And I think that's the big question, isn't it? Like, if you get rid of Ollie, and that's probably why we're delaying as well, you get rid of Ollie, but who really realistically are we bringing in? Are any of them available as such? I know Zidane obviously is, but Ten Hag, you're telling me that he's tempted to come to us after the project that he's got at Ajax. For me, looks a lot more enticing at the minute, but he will get the chance to have the likes of Ronaldo, obviously, under his belt and whatnot as well. Yeah, I think at the moment we all just feel a bit out of the loop, a bit topsy-turvy about everything that's happening. And amongst all that as well, obviously Paul Pogba's gone to France and he's got injured as well. Does that then mean, do we reckon that Donny might be getting a bit more game time? For me, it doesn't. But yeah, Pogba getting injured obviously is another worrying one. The fact that he hasn't signed a new contract as well, we've all been talking about that constantly. I think we can almost guarantee that he's going now. If anything changes, I'll be surprised, but I think it looks pretty much that Pogba will be leaving. Josh said if he didn't have Moyes post Sir Alex, he'd definitely be in the frame for the United job. That's the ironic thing about football, isn't it? It's so true. Looking at the way West Ham are playing right now, how they're doing in the league, how they're doing in Europe as well. Moyes, his name would definitely be battered about 100%. It's just funny how it swings and roundabouts and how stuff happens in football, isn't it? Is the Pogba injury a blessing in disguise, says Doug? I'm guessing it's one of them where time will tell. Time will tell, obviously, regardless whether you like a player or don't. Seeing a player getting injured and out for a period of time is sad, isn't it? But with Paul Pogba, obviously, in the whole Donny situation, the way that we're trying to find a way of playing, and we haven't, to be fair, I think too often we've tried to squeeze players in. Like Pogba, we know has squeezed out onto that left-hand side a few times and whatnot. Maybe we shall see. We shall see. Maybe Pogba not being there is one less headache for Ollie, and he can play players in their actual positions. Who knows? But yeah, I'd nearly take Moyes back. People are saying that he hasn't won anything. Didn't he win an FA Cup? Yeah, for Leicester he did. I think people are referring to Liverpool and that mad season that he had. But you are right, Galvatron, he did win, the FA Cup, and what an achievement that was as well. Well, I got on to 17. I hope you are doing well. Pogba is off unless Zidane comes in. That's a good point. I think if Zidane did come in, obviously we know that he's already worked with the likes of Pogba before, Varane, even likes of Martial. It'd be interesting to see how Martial would figure if Zidane came in. Yeah. Zidane's, to be fair, I'd say the two names that I've seen mostly over social media have been Ten Hag or Zinedine Zidane, until recently when Ragnick obviously came into the mix as well. Doug, they're sorted. Don't worry, I'll be back doing the FIFA stream on Saturday. I'll let you know a time, but it most likely be quite early in the day on Saturday, but I'll drop a tweet out for that one. Shane says I can't see Pogba playing for us again. Be interesting to see what happens regarding Paul Pogba, won't it, and whether he will. But look, we all know he's a great player. On his day, he's absolutely outstanding. But I think the fact that he hasn't signed a contract, his body language as well, he just doesn't seem, his heart doesn't seem in it for United. And I'm not going to begrudge him or whatever. I think it's the club's fault for letting have a player like that and let his contract run down for the second time. Let me just add that as well. It's frustrating, isn't it? But I do think with Paul Pogba, his heart's not in it for United anymore. It doesn't look that way, and I hope that I'm wrong. And obviously he signs a contract because, like I say, on his day, I think he's an outstanding player. But yeah, it just doesn't feel right at the moment, does it? It just doesn't feel good for United. Obviously, for France, he's been outstanding, but for United, it just hasn't really hit. And to be fair, he started the season pretty well. He got like loads of assists, didn't he? He was like breaking records, and he just kind of drifted. He just drifted, and as usual, like Riola's made some comments and whatnot, and there's been discussions about his future. He's had that contract offer for a while now, and he still hasn't signed it. And like, it just, doesn't seem in it for United. Pogba last couple of games doesn't feel exactly. He just does not seem focused on United, does he? And it's a shame, but It's true. I wanted to just discuss as well. I haven't got the names of the players or anything like that, but obviously there was a PSG player for PSG ladies, and I read this today and I found it quite shocking. And I don't know if you guys have seen it, so I'm going to enlighten you on it. But there's a PSG female player who is basically, she was competing for a spot, obviously, in the starting 11. And the girl that she was competing with, she hired 2 men to basically attack her and injure her to try and break into that starting 11. I thought, surely this can't be real when I was reading this earlier, but that's just crazy. Yeah, I heard it on Sky as well, and I was thinking, that's just madness. Like, obviously, police are now involved with this and whatnot, but when does that enter anybody's mind that I want to get somebody attacked just to try and get into the starting lineup? I don't know. It just baffled me when I read it, and I thought I've got to put that out there because it was just crazy. But like I say, if you want to read up on it, I'm not going to sit here and delve into it too much. But it was on Sky Sports News, and I couldn't believe it. I read it, and I was just like, surely that ain't happened. It's like a film or a soap opera or something. James, I can assure you it is true, yes. If Pogba isn't going to sign a new contract, then sell him in January, get some money for him. That would be the sensible thing to do, wouldn't it? But I can see us just dragging it out, to be honest with you, because that's the kind of thing that United do, and letting him go again on the second occasion on a free, which is just, yeah. I'd hit Ed Woodward with a trout if it got Ollie out. A nice little rhyme that you've got there, Acid. Can't sell him now. Anyone can talk to him. Yeah, well, in January, that would mean he's free to talk to anybody, wouldn't it? That's true, actually, yeah. The footballing equivalent of the Harding ice skating incident. Yes, yeah. Crazy. That's Phil Jones back into the first team, with Varane being out as well. Gutted, obviously, with Varane's injury. We look so much better with him in the team. No two ways about it. So much better with him in the team. With him in the team. Boy, obviously decent, but he showed his rashness, didn't he? Obviously, midweek he played absolutely outstanding. But then against City, that was a wild own goal, wasn't it? But we were just shocking across the board, to be fair. Absolutely awful. De Gea, I felt so sorry for him. I know he probably could have done better on one goal, but the amount of times that he's kept us in games is just absolutely ridiculous. Zoe said that was mental news. I know. I couldn't believe it when I read it either. I was shocked. What do you think of Jadon Sancho being deployed as a right wing back, as being reported? They've done it in training. To be honest with you, I'd have to see him play there. A lot of people I saw writing it off and whatnot. And look, Ollie's obviously changed his system, and at the moment in the current system, you'd say Jadon Sancho doesn't buy into it. Doesn't fit into that system, does he? So if he's got to convert him into a right wing back because obviously he wants him to start, but I'd be intrigued to see that. But defensively, I would imagine he would struggle. Obviously, going forwards, we know that what he's capable of. But defensively, I'd feel he'll be weakened. Obviously, Wan-Bissaka defensively is quality, but going forwards, he struggles. So it's like the vice versa, isn't it? But I think with Jadon Sancho, I'd have to see him play there first. I'm not going to write him off because I think he's a good technical player. And it's obviously a way of Ole trying to accommodate and try and squeeze players into the system that is now changed. But in this current system that Ole seems to be favouring, he's not going to fit into that. But I can't. I'll be honest. I can't see him playing it as a right wing back. I think that's just like lazy journalism that's being put out there. Like I say, because he doesn't fit into the system. I can't imagine Sancho being willing to. What was it? 72 million we paid for him to come and slot in and been more of a defensive player. Really, I just can't imagine it. But like I say, I'm not going to write it off. I think I'd have to see it, but I just can't picture that happening. Why do you think Harry and Luke are struggling so much? Is it a hangover from the Euros? Do we think? I know a lot of people believe that is the case, but in terms of, to be fair, both of them were injured at one point as well. Were they rushed back too soon? I think that's another question we could put out there. But in terms of Maguire, performances on the pitch simply not good enough. But his interviews after have been just as bad, if not worse. He said that we lacked belief. In a Manchester derby, at home at Old Trafford, a full Old Trafford, crowd are absolutely buzzing. You need a response after the Liverpool game, and you say you lack belief. That's coming from your captain. Like that kind of explains everything in a sense in terms of our mentality going into games like that. Like, you just can't, you don't expect that from your leader, the one who's supposedly is meant to stand up when the going gets tough. Shaw still looks injured all season long, and it's not being dropped to get fit, in my opinion. Could be the case because both of them obviously did come back from that injury. Hi, Soph, you're stuck with the Norwegian Frodo Baggins, as X calls him. Man United won the battle, but we won the war. Come on, Spurs. Yeah, obviously. Yeah. What were people calling it? El Sakiko? You're right. You guys won El Sakiko. We won the game. You're right. I don't really know at the minute. I think most United fans are at the same point. What I don't like to see is fans on Twitter like going at each other, disapproving of each other's opinions and whatnot. Because for me, like, football's about opinions. Everybody's entitled to opinion, whether you agree with it or not. Like, I don't agree with the personal abuse. I mean, even towards Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he's a good guy. Obviously, in terms of football manager, you can have your own opinions, but in terms of a family man and a good guy and a club legend, like you can't dispute that. And you see people like saying all sorts of terrible stuff. I just don't really agree with the personal attacks on people, especially amongst fans. Like our fan base at the moment is just ridiculously divided, and it's just horrible to see that. I struggle looking through Twitter at the minute, I'll be honest, because it just infuriates and it's just disheartening to see fans going against each other. And like I say, there's talk of a protest. I believe, is it Saturday? A lot of people are going to it, but some people do feel like the protest is aimed at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rather than the true problem, which is the board. And I just can't endorse that. I can't endorse it. And obviously, like I say, each to their own opinions and whatnot. But for me, as a club legend, as a man, I just don't agree with that at all. In fact, I think it's a bit embarrassing if someone does do that. And look, I get it. You want the standards of the football club. We're not playing well enough. Other clubs have sacked their managers. Why don't we do the same and whatnot? I get it, but surely that should be directed at the board and not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself. I love Ollie. He's a nice guy, but the abuse is wrong. I want him out, but it's never personal, except with the board. That's personal for trying to rip the club apart. Totally. Do you think that many people will be at the protest? I don't really know, because there's a lot of people who are Ollie out. There's a lot of people who actually are slagging him off online and sending him abuse and whatnot. So I actually don't know. I think there'll be a few, but nowhere near obviously the numbers that we had before. But yeah, I don't agree with it. I just don't agree with protesting against the man who is the front of it, the manager, when realistically the problems come from behind him. You know what I mean? I just can't. Criticism is allowed, that's part of the game, but seeing abuse and threats to others, whether it's manager, players, fans, or anyone, it is wrong. I totally agree. It is wrong. At the end of the day, we've all got opinions. Just share it. Just listen to each other, and just if you don't agree with someone, tell them why you don't agree. But you don't have to be personal in that. And so, the use of Ollie and legacy are reasons why they're the reasons why they're using not to sack him. It's the club that comes first, and I was a fan before Ollie was even here. Exactly, I agree. Club has to come first, and that's what I'm seeing. Like, regardless of who the manager is, for me, I want my club to win, and I'm seeing other fans out there who don't, and I just can't. Yeah, so frustrating. And Doug said hit the bike button. Yeah, hit that like button, please, guys. I'd really would appreciate that. And protest should be against the Glazers, but a protest is a good idea. I'm not disputing the protest at all. I'm not disputing it, and I supported the protest before. It's just I feel it need to be directed in the right direction. That's the only thing for me. No point in protesting at an empty stadium. That's the other thing. You'd think it'd be on a game day. You think it would be on a game day where it's going to affect them more. The fact that there's not even a game on, it's going to be an empty stadium. Yeah, that you are right. The timing is a bit weird, but I guess it just fell on this weekend, hasn't it? The fact that obviously other managers have been sacked. We got battered by Liverpool. We got battered by City. This is just the next weekend, really, in an international break, isn't it? But you are right. You'd think it would be more effective in a stadium full of fans. But the protest's not on a game day, so it's a pointless use of energy. Yeah. Another solution is to stop going to games. That will get realistically the only thing that is going to get their attention is people stop spending money, because we know United is a business. We know that they're hungry for money. That's all they've ever been hungry for. And if people aren't investing, aren't buying merchandise, aren't buying tickets, aren't going, that's the only way. If there's empty seats here, that's when they'll start panicking. Realistically, that's all. I mean, we can protest and whatnot, but the true thing that will hurt them is people stop buying shirts and whatnot, stop going into the mega store, and don't buy tickets. Don't buy tickets. But you know what? I'm not going to sit here and say to people you can't buy tickets to watch the club that you love. Who am I to tell one? Like I say, I think there's too many people on there who are out there who think they can tell fans what to do. If you want to support the club that you love, you're going to support however way you want to support them, and I'll do me. But that's the only thing that is going to stop, realistically. No money going in. That's the only way that you're going to stop the Glazers. Up until then, they're still earning money. They're still earning profit. And like I say, it's a business to them more than a football club. So they're still benefiting regardless of where we are in the table. That's how it looks, doesn't it? Being a while since smashed anything, that lucky button, smash that bike button. Being down that road, so as soon as they bought Varane, Sancho and Ron, the shirt sales went up. The clever, especially with the Ronaldo one, they knew what they were doing totally. They hooked fans back in, obviously, especially Ronaldo shirts. He's coming back. Of course, they did. It's clever. And like I say, it's a business, isn't it? And a lot of people obviously succumb to that. You Ollie out. Now, I'll never sit here, Yo. You put me on the spot. I would never sit here and say I'm Ollie out. However, if Ollie does go, I totally understand. Totally understand. And if Ollie stays and it continues like this, then of course it shouldn't happen. It should not happen. I'm not sitting here and saying we're playing good enough. I'm not sitting here and saying I'm happy with what I'm seeing, because I'm totally not. For me, it it should change now. The reign should change because the feeling has just changed within the club for me. It doesn't seem as positive. A few, like I said, a tweet from Pogba saying focusing on France and whatnot, which I felt was a bit of a sly dig. Maybe that's just the way that I looked at it. But Maguire's comments as well afterwards. Is he slowly losing the dressing room? That's my worry right now because it just doesn't seem as positive as it has been. So that's my answer, Zio. I will never sit and say it. However, if he goes, I get it. I get it completely, and I completely agree. But if he stays and he proves everyone wrong, I would absolutely love that too. I think that's my emotional side of it. So yeah, my answer's on the fence, as I always have been regarding any manager on the fence. They say they don't just buy shirts and names, that they'll do exactly that. Yeah. The Ronaldo shirt sales were absolutely massive. They were absolutely ridiculous. I know, ridiculous. Would you sack Ole right now if you were in charge of United? Would I sack him right now? Why you put me on the spot like that, Shivan? To be honest with you, I think that if I was in charge of Manchester United now, I would already have to have a plan in place. I think, especially after last season losing that final and whatnot as well, I think I would have already had a plan in place. Obviously, they backed in with Ronaldo and whatnot. And that when things haven't started to change, so from this season, ultimately, after the Leeds game, it's gone pretty downhill. I think, yeah, I'd have to say yes, but not without a plan in place. And I'm saying the but in there because I don't agree with sacking Ollie just to get another interim in. Do you know what I mean? Just an easy manager to get in at the time. I think United should wait and get the manager who fits the club perfectly, like Ten Hag, for example. So if there was an agreement at the end of the season saying Ten Hag is coming in, then I'd bide my time and I'd get Ten Hag at the end of the season. And that's the way that I would do it. I think we need to have a plan. I think we've seen too many sporadic appointments. People who have been brought in who don't suit what we're trying to do at United. They're just easy. They're just available at the time. I think now we need to go out and get the manager who we feel is right for us. Hope that's a good answer for you. How many games did you give Ollie to turn it around? To be honest with you, after the Liverpool game, they said, we've got the Spurs game. The Spurs game was a nothing game for me. And I said that, obviously, Spurs were struggling. We're struggling. We beat Spurs. It's a bit like we won. We beat Spurs. Okay, for me, that's not a big deal. That doesn't prove anything. City was always the one. And I felt like if we got battered against City, I said it before. I said, I feel like he's gone. I feel like he's gone. But you say we didn't get battered in terms of the scoreline, in terms of the game, we couldn't have been any further apart from Man City could be. And it was shocking to see, and the lack of desire and whatnot as well. That worries me. So I genuinely felt that after the City game, Ollie would be gone, especially being an international break and whatnot. And the fact that it hasn't happened now tells me that he's staying. He's staying. Obviously, Watford is up next. But again, if we beat Watford, for me, that's a nothing. That doesn't prove anything. We need to go on a run of games and we need to show a consistent performance. And the only consistency we showed at the moment is inconsistency. That's like a bar there, Zio. I'll write that one down. But all we've done is been inconsistent all season. We can't have that, especially if you want to be contenders and whatnot. And I've already said it at the start of this stream, with the players that we've got, the squad that we've got, no way should we be playing the way that we are. We should be playing a lot better than we are right now. Doug, thank you so much for that super chat. I really do appreciate it. He says, what do you think United's strongest 11 is if everyone was fit? So me, I would probably go, obviously, De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka right back, Varane. I'd probably rather go Lindelof. A lot of people probably disagree with me, even though it's going to be Maguire, realistically. So I'll put Maguire there, but personally, I would rather see Lindelof, especially right at the minute. Left back, I would go, obviously, Luke Shaw. Midfielders, personally, I would rather see Donny in there with Matic or McTominay. Then I'd like, obviously, Bruno in front, and I would love to see a front three of Ronaldo centrally, Sancho on the right, Rashford on the left. That would be my ideal. Obviously, you've got Cavani as well, who could come in. But I think that's the most balanced that I personally see. And I think the midfield is our biggest issue. We keep playing McFred and they're just simply not good enough. But yeah, Lindelof for me would come in over Maguire, especially on current form. And I'd like to see Lindelof and Varane a bit more. I think Varane strengthens any defence, doesn't he? And I think him and Lindelof could form a good partnership. Big up to Devils United. That is Maisie's channel. So make sure you go and check out Maisie's channel and hit the subscribe over there as well. Maisie's joining me on Friday. So that should be a really, really good show. Let me know what your strongest 11s actually. I'd like to see it in there. And actually, Doug, put yours as well, because obviously you're a Liverpool fan. And I think I'd be intrigued to see as a rival what you would fear most from a United lineup. James says, I agree, Sophie. If you beat Watford, it just pipes over the cracks. Consistency is so key for United. It is so key, and we just haven't had it at all, and it's just so frustrating. It just really is. And like I say, to be fair, and this is where Ollie has to come under criticism as well, regardless of who we seem to play at the moment, regardless of the personnel, performances just haven't improved. They haven't been good enough. And that's when you question tactically or whether the player can get these players up. And for me, like for a derby or against Liverpool, you shouldn't need your manager to get yourself up. You're playing for Manchester United. You shouldn't need any more than that. But these players obviously do. And that's the frustrating thing. Niall, thank you so much for the comment. It says, evening, Soph. I get my head around how even Newcastle have a new manager and Villa are closing in on Gerrard, where Ollie's still in the job. I can't get my head around it. I agree. And again, I think it shows the shambolic board that we have. There isn't a plan in place. And that's what I said earlier. I think if you're going to sack Ollie, you need to get the ideal manager in. And I think Conte being free is a short-term manager. He could have been a good one to bide our time, maybe win something, and then get someone like Ten Hag, who is my ideal choice. But I just don't want us to get the manager who was just available at the time, who actually isn't what we really want. But yeah, it's baffling. But again, we have to direct it at the board. We have to direct it there, definitely. But anyhow, I think he's an underrated appointment, to be honest with you. I think he's going to do a good job there. I hope he buys Solanke and players like that out to the money that they've got now as well. I'm joking, of course. But no, I do think Eddie Howe is a very decent appointment. Lawbreaker, thank you so much for that super chat. Go on, Soph, say it with us. Ollie, on the fence. I'm not saying it. What do you want me to sing Ollie's at the wheel? I could do that because he still is. But that's another thing. All the rival fans singing that chant as well. It's just driving me insane. It's just embarrassing, isn't it, to see that? But we fully deserve that banter at the minute. Better short, exactly. Yeah, I think the Conte one, like I say, it wasn't my ideal in terms of style of play and whatnot, and the way that he is. But for short-term success, I think he kind of guarantees that. We'll see how he gets on to Spurs, though. We'll see. I can't really comment on whether that's a good or a bad thing. If he's gone to Spurs and it goes all toxic and he doesn't, I know it's unlikely, but he doesn't improve Spurs, and I think United fans will be like, oh, okay, I understand. If he goes to Spurs and he gets them into top four and they win something, then of course you know that we've missed out. So time will tell on that one. But look, Conte is a great manager, and I'm sure he's going to be a great appointment there. Devils United, so Maisie's lineup, she says, De Gea and goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Varane, Shaw. If he plays the back five, then tell us. Yes, I'm sure he's a left centre-back. Donny and Matic, Bruno, Sancho, Ronaldo, and then Cavani as a striker, so Ronaldo on that left. I think against certain teams, you could do that. I do worry about the lack of tracking back from Ronaldo against the better teams. But yeah, Sophie on the on the fence, Richo. Yeah, I literally am. I admit it. I don't care. I am. I just, you know what? I'm just not that way inclined to say get the manager out. Of course, I'm a football fan, but I'm not one of these like Twitter online managers. You know what I mean? I'm not this one who I know best and nobody knows anything. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. I kind of look at it from both sides. Obviously, emotionally, I love the fact Ollie's in charge. I love the fact that he's a club legend, and obviously he's got like Ronaldo back and stuff like that. Of course, emotionally, he's done some special things. Obviously, him coming back as interim and then being made permanent and then bringing back Ronaldo. But then you look on the other hand and you look at the performances and they've been absolutely woeful and no sign of improving. It's a stubbornness, isn't it? Like constantly playing McFred. That's a frustrating thing because we all know McFred aren't good enough. But he still chooses to play them. Like Roy Keane said, if he saw Ollie, he'd shake him and say, why on earth do you keep playing Fred? It's obviously he's not good enough. So yeah, it's just frustrating. I'd like to think I'm open-minded, not on the fence. That's what I'm going to say. I'm open-minded. Big up to Randy Orton Lee. I hope you're doing good. Sit on the fence too long, you'll hurt your bum. If something happens, I won't have to sit on the fence anymore. But I will back Ollie until he's no longer in the charge, and whoever comes in, I will back them as well. That's just the way that I am. I can't help it. That's the way that I am. I'm not too. What's the word? Stern, I guess. I'm not like one of these. I'm not abusive. I'm not going to berate a manager and tell him to get out. But I will say the football's crap and it's not good enough and it can't continue. And if he does get sacked, then I can understand totally and I won't begrudge that. That's the fairest way I can put it. Do I think there'll be a protest? I do, but I don't think it's going to be like a gigantic one. Like I say, I think the fact that people are saying it's directed at Ollie, a lot of fans like me are against that. If it's directed at the board, then I totally understand it. But yeah, I do think there will be one, just not a major one. Obviously, not being a game as well, there's not going to be as many people there. Fred and Scott McTominay should both be playing for Newcastle United, to Samuel Ingram. Fair enough, I love the Villa, but who would you go for if not Gerrard? Yeah, I love the Villas in the chat. Let us know who your favourite choice candidate manager is, who you linked with at the minute. Vieira is doing a fantastic job, by the way. I've just saw someone commenting that. I will look at that. What are your thoughts on United's women's team and the 1-1 draw we had at the weekend against Tottenham? Should have won the game. It's disappointing to concede such a late goal. It always is. It feels like a loss, doesn't it? Feels like a loss. And I love watching the women's team. My friend Ashley Neville plays for Spurs as well. So that, yeah, it's an interesting one, that one, the Spurs United games. But yeah, it just feels like a loss. Disappointed. I think everyone felt a bit deflated after it because to concede so late, it just feels like a kick in the teeth, doesn't it? So yeah, I think that disappointment is the biggest word really from that. But I'm sure that the girls will bounce back. Patrick Vieira has been at Palace for less than 2 months, and he's got a style of play. He's doing well. He's doing really, really well. And look, I can't disagree with anything that he's saying. I'm not a flip flop. I just consider both sides. And I've always been that way. So I'm not a flip flop. I'm a flip flop if I change, but I don't. I'll stick to it. Stick to the fence. That's what I do. I play it safe. Not a United fan, but De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Boye, Varane, Shaw, Matic, Pogba, Bruno, Rashford, Sancho, Ronaldo. I think Maguire has dropped. He's been so poor. He has since obviously the Euros. It was absolutely fantastic, and then since that, he's been poor. Yeah, you're right. He's been so poor. It's been disappointing. He's also almost been playing in slow motion sometimes, and and I don't understand why Ollie persists to play him. If he's not playing well, change it. But obviously the Varane injury now is frustrating because with Maguire, the way that he's playing, if we had Varane, if we had Lindelof, if we had Boyer, at least we could rotate a bit more. Obviously, at the minute, he's got Boyer and Lindelof to choose from, as well as Maguire. So, and Boyer and Lindelof, we used to play in the past, and we know that what that partnership brings. She doesn't flip flop. She always says the same. I do, and I know I'm on the fence, but I do always stick on the fence. That's one thing I will say. He has done a very good job, and you know what? I was kind of intrigued to see how he would cope at managing in the Premier League, because obviously Vieira, what a player he was, absolute legend at Arsenal and whatnot. The key in Vieira, like, yeah, everyone loved that rivalry, didn't they? But seeing him in charge at Crystal Palace, he's kind of come in and been like a silent assassin as such. He kind of just drifted in, and it's just, yeah, they're doing quality, playing good football. Players like Zaha, obviously, they've always got that magic moment in them as well. But yeah, I've been impressed with what I've seen, and I think if Gerrard does come to manage in the Premier League, that's going to be really interesting to see as well. Evil woman. I'm not evil. I'm not. Could Manchester United drop Victor Lindelof and play Mengi instead? Oh, you know what? Why not? We keep doing the same old things and making the same old mistakes. Why not mix it up? But that ain't going to happen. Definitely not. But I do like look at Mengi. So if you're a useful person to having a crisis, rating just buttons. I'm hopeless in a crisis. Honestly, decision making is not my strong point. I think the signing of Ronaldo spoiled his plans, as he had 11 already. Then Ronaldo came out of nowhere, and you can't drop him. Maybe, but it's Cristiano Ronaldo for me. He's a cheat code, isn't he? He's almost like a cheat code coming in to United. His goals without them this season, like, where would we be realistically? Anybody would love to have Ronaldo in their team. Absolutely anybody. But you are right. Obviously, there's a certain way of playing. Maybe Oli didn't want to play that way, and Ronaldo coming in. But I personally don't buy that. Ronaldo is just, for me, just different. He's just different, isn't he? And anybody in the league would love to have Ronaldo in the team. And with the squad that we've got, with the personnel we've got, I've already said it a few times, but we should be doing a lot better than we are. And we have to look in the direction of Ollie when it comes to that, definitely. If things stay the same, where do we finish this season? When is the next win? That's how it feels, Roy. Where is the next win coming from? It's frustrating. If things stay the same, mid-table, I'm going to say, picking up odd results here and there with these poor performances. But yeah, frustrating, isn't it? It's horrible to say that. Obviously, a lot of United fans bantering Arsenal at the start of the season, and now they're above us. It's anything can happen in football, but I think we definitely need to go on a run. If this continues, Ollie definitely won't be here. Let's face it. We need to go on a run of positive results and positive performances more than anything, because the performances have been absolutely dreadful, even when we have scraped a result. So hopefully we can go on that run. This international break could overcome an awful time or a fantastic time. So we shall see. Soph has a balanced view when it comes to Ollie. Yes, United are not playing great at the moment, but we hope we'll turn it around. Exactly that. You probably put it in better words than I have, but yeah, that is my view. I kill for mid-table right now. Soph says I love the Villa. You're similar to us, really, though. I think you just need to get that positive result and hopefully go on a run. I think we're just down in the dumps at the minute. At least we can relate in that sense. I love the Villa. United right now are conceding more goals than Soph does on FIFA. Even my defending isn't that bad, and that's saying something, to be fair. You are right there, Acid. My defending isn't quite that bad. Totally. At least I'll put a tackle in, I guess. Where do you guys think Lampard will end up? I don't know. Was he linked? Am I dreaming it, or was he linked to the Norwich job? I don't know if I dreamt that, but I thought I read that. I would play 4-3-3, says Shivan. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Lindelof, Shaw, Matic, Donny, Pogba, Sancho, Ronaldo, and Rashford. That's not a bad lineup as well. Not a bad lineup, obviously very similar to the one that I said. Obviously, I did say Maguire would probably play, but I'd rather have Lindelof in there. But Maguire just is undroppable. And I don't know how with the form, but he's undroppable. Not a United fan, but you need to play to Ronaldo's strength. The coaching is lacking. Bringing a director of football in Ragnick. we've been screaming out for that for ages, to be fair. And Ragnick obviously is interested. I would definitely consider getting Ragnick in one form or another. I would definitely, yeah. Especially the fact that obviously he openly says that he'd love to come to United. Everyone is leaving at Greenwood. It's a good point, you know. And that was my biggest worry about Ronaldo. Realistically, Greenwood is not starting over Ronaldo. His long-term position is that 9. Rashford coming back. Obviously, a lot of people want Sancho to play as well. I think at the moment, Sancho isn't playing and Greenwood obviously is taking that slot. But in the long run, if Sancho does find his feet, we paid 72 million for him, you'd expect him to start on the right. Maybe Rashford on the left, or Greenwood, to be fair, on that left-hand side. But like I say, for that central point at the minute, it's Cavani or Ronaldo. I think when we played 2 up top, obviously Greenwood figured in that the other day. But yeah, Greenwood is so clinical in front of goal, as we keep saying. And you probably said this season, other than Ronaldo, he's been one of our brightest sparks. But Ronaldo coming in, is that going to hinder his progression? And that's another thing that I worried about. Or will he be the predecessor? I mean, you can't learn from anybody better than Cristiano Ronaldo and Cavani, realistically. Great experience for him. But yeah, I think at the minute, obviously, we all said Sancho because ideally we want to see more of Sancho and we know what he's capable of. But I think on current form, Greenwood obviously nips in ahead of him. I think this is just like an ideal lineup. And in the long run, I think it would be Greenwood in the 9 over Ronaldo. But yeah, it is mad actually that everyone hasn't left him out. I haven't seen anybody saying that. My shirts are over here, you know. My shirts are here. Someone did just ask me. Yeah, my shirts are here. So there's one. There's the other one. It's a number 7, so I can't flaunt that one anymore. That one out the window, didn't it, with Ronaldo coming in? But yeah, I've just moved them all to the side for a little bit, but they are all there. It was just a bit crowded behind me. But yeah, they're still here. Don't worry. I haven't burnt them or got rid of them, even though I've probably felt like it at times. No, they're still there. Cavani and Ronaldo are similar types, definitely negatively affecting players like Martial and Greenwood for game time. Of course, yeah, it is 100% because undroppable. And unfortunately, Greenwood, even though he's been so clinical, he's not going to start over Ronaldo. And that's what someone made a good point earlier. Ronaldo coming in as it hindered Ole's plans, and it could have. But definitely players like Greenwood, you'd think it's affecting. And Greenwood, obviously, and Southgate aren't getting on too well, are they? Because he's still not being called up to the England squad, which is a shame because I think, like I say, he's been one of our bright sparks this season. He's just so clinical in front of goal. And I would have loved to see him called back up to England. Obviously, Smith Rowe's been called up and whatnot. And it's just a shame not to see Greenwood there, isn't it? But yeah, guys, we've got through a lot tonight. A lot. And I've absolutely loved it. I will be doing more shows like this where it's just me talking to you lot. So I can actually delve into the comments and have a bit of a debate with you lot. Get put on the spot a few times as well by a few people. But I love it. Sit on the fence, curlers, just for you because that's just what I do. Am I watching England on Friday? I will be. I am live with Days. I am live with Maisie, but we should be done in time for the game. Yeah, so yeah, I'll be live on Friday, and I'll be watching it. Albania, I believe, isn't it? So yeah. Number 7 Cavani shirt will be a collector's item in a few years, says Robert. Probably right, to be fair. Probably right, yeah. Thank you, Darren, for that. Thank you, Decimus, as well. Thanks to everybody who has tuned in. I really do appreciate it, as always. And obviously, if you are new, please hit that sub button. Hit a like on the video as well. So for that point, your ID. I haven't got one. I haven't got a name thing on here. But yeah, guys, it's been a fantastic show. Obviously, if I have missed your comments, I do try and get through as many as I can. But just drop a comment afterwards, and I'll always respond to you there. Always do. Thanks for the positivity, as always. Thanks for keeping the conversation going. I do appreciate it. I'll be back, like I say, on Friday with a live with Maisie. I will most likely do a live tomorrow, but I've got to confirm that. So just keep your eye on my Twitter or on my Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Have a lovely rest of the evening. I will see you soon. Take care.